Welcome to High Rise Networks. I'm Forrest Blake. We're going to be talking today about business golf. Yeah, I didn't wear my golf shirt today. I should have, but thank you for Jeremy and a few of the others on the call who did wear golf shirts. So welcome. So golf, it's really one of the most influential business development opportunities you see out there. Certainly CEOs, CFOs, other executives, they play golf. It's a very social event. It's a way to get outside, out of the boardroom, and really develop deep relationships where you can't do over a lunch in a crowded restaurant when it's noisy. So golf is synonymous with big business. So why not leverage it and create the big business that you're looking for? So let's go through a few things about this. As it moves. There we go. So sustain, entertain, and obtain clients with golf. So I call it SEO. And SEO is kind of funny because obviously we do a lot of SEO because we want our name top on Google. Well, we also want our name to be in the brains of our clients and our prospects and our referral networks. And one way to do that is to bring people together, not only one, but two or three people together on a weekly or maybe bi-weekly golf game. And then the important thing is that people that don't decide to come to the event or to play golf still are important because you've made that invitation. So it's tough. So let's go to the next part, which is important. I'm not sure you would invite this guy because he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but I'm kidding. But you need to pick who you're going to invite. It's a 6-hour round. You have a busy day. You have billable hours. It's not something that you want to take lightly. So organize yourself. Understand who you're going to bring. Set up a list of those folks that you want to contact and reach out to them consistently with an invitation. Because a lot of people can't do it the first or the second or the third time. One good technique is to create a day within each week, within each month, that you do your business golf. So every third Thursday, that's when you have your business golf. Having 4 players is much better than having 1 player. You never know who you're going to be connected with, and then you kind of control your environment. So again, it's like if you guys have owned sporting tickets to games, if you don't get ahead of it, far ahead of it, you're going to be behind the 8 ball, and the day before you're going to be calling people and saying, hey, do you want to play golf? Do you want to play golf? And likely people will not. So preparing for this could take as much work as the actual playing golf itself. So what I would suggest is get yourself a top 20 list, and maybe through your CRM, code people as plays golf. So that way when you decide, hey, I'm going to go play golf this next week, who am I going to invite? You have a list that you can pull up and you know exactly who those people. And how do you generate that list is, guess what? You just have to ask people, do you play golf? And start to inventory that. And you'd be amazed how many people play golf. You'll be amazed how many people don't play very good golf. So I think the idea there is just enjoy. It's not really about the golf. It's about the client. It's about developing a relationship. It's about furthering whatever mandate or agenda you have with that individual. So the other thing is you may not be a member of a golf course or a country club, but there are courses that are high daily fee public golf courses. What I say the important thing is to go meet the head pro. Go there often so you're frequenting it. So basically it becomes your country club even though it's not your country club. So you know, it's being friendly, it's being known, and then you walk in as if you're the guy that's in control or the girl's in control. So the next thing is it's always about your guest. As many of you know, I do dancing. Well, it's really all about your partner, about your woman. The man is supposed to make the woman look great. Same thing here. You want to make sure that your guest comes first, whatever that means. Now, with that, you should also show up early to the golf course. Prepare, make sure you've got the bucket of balls ready, that you've paid for the green fees, that you know where the cart is, that you know that you have room in the restaurant afterwards. So those are things that you really want to work with. Now, here's another complicating factor that comes up. Sometimes, and ideally, you have 2 or 3 guests. Well, now you have this debate over who's going to ride with who, and it can be contentious at some point. So, bless you. So the way that we want to do that is we want to explain to our guest that I'm going to ride with John for 6 holes, I'm going to ride with Jane for 6 holes, and then I'm going to ride with Zach for the last 6 holes. And literally take your golf bag off and move it around. The other thing that one of our high-rise members does very, very well is she throws parties, and you don't just sit at a table. You sit at a table that she's handpicked who is at that table that relates to what you do. So she puts people together that should be together. So when you're planning your round and planning your guest, think about who would have the best mix with each other. So when do you talk business? Now, obviously with this guy, I talked a little bit earlier, and he says, what are you talking about? But I think the important thing here is that you never talk about business until they bring it up. Now, in some cases, they may not bring it up until the 19th hole. That's fine. You're out there. Your goal is to develop a relationship, not to close a deal. So know what your agenda is, understand it, let them bring it up, let them ask you, what's going on. So in reality, 6 hours on a golf course, these individuals could be your new best friends. So really your goal is to approach it in that way. The more you discover about the individuals you're playing with, the more you're going to be able to grow that relationship, help them in the future, understand what their hobbies are. I went out to a dinner last night with a prospect, and it was interesting because I found out that he is still going to school on the weekends at Caltech, which was super interesting because he's doing statistical analysis, which is kind of fun. And I thought to myself, well, shoot, that would be something that I'm interested in. But more importantly, now I know he's in Pasadena every Saturday, and if I want to invite him back out for dinner, it's very convenient for him to come and meet me. So finding out a little more information can further that relationship. So this is an important thing because business golf etiquette. Has anybody ever been with somebody on the golf course and they had a bad temper? It's amazing what character they're showing to the other people in the group. And granted, all of us are professionals. All of us have a real career. We're just not good enough to be angry about missing a shot or anything like that. So I think, one of the things that people have to always be conscious of is don't go back to your anger and slam a club down. Believe me, it cuts deep. The other thing is just understanding golf, right? Who tees off first? The person that had the lowest score on the last hole tees off first. The other thing is if somebody's away when you're putting or further than the hole, the furthest person from the hole goes first. You don't talk, you don't clank your clubs, you don't turn on your cell phone ringer while somebody's hitting. Those are some of the basic things. You repair ball marks. Because believe me, if it's a real golfer, if it's somebody that plays golf at a club, if it's a C-suite executive, he's evaluating everything you're doing, or she's evaluating everything you are doing. So it's a golf, we used to say, is really a personality revealer. You can really understand what a person's all about by watching how they deal with hitting it out of bounds 3 times in the first hole. Do they cheat? Do they finish their golf, their putts? Those sorts of things. The other thing I will state is that if you're not a very good golfer, absolutely fine. Be a quick golfer. When you get up over the ball, hit the ball. If you have to hit it 3 times, you're doing it in a fashion that's quick. And when you feel like you've had enough, pick up your ball. There's nothing wrong with that. Go help somebody on the green, tend the pen, those sorts of things. And that's true etiquette. So you don't necessarily have to be a great player to do something good. All right, so we get these people, right? They always want to have something, some wager, $5, $10, $20. Gambling should be a team sport, so it might be you against the other card, but it should be very innocent and very fun. And back to remembering, it's not about the money, the $5 you're going to win. It's not about your ego, which I'm sure we all do, have big egos. It's about the client. So I would suggest no gambling at all, but if you like to do that and you like to have fun, great. So one of my buddies, one time we were on the 18th hole, and I played 200 rounds with this guy. His name was Tim Lawler. And he went to the other 2 people that we were playing with, and he'd been complaining about them the whole round. And he looked at them, he put his hands out, and he said, I just wanted to say, it was truly a pleasure to play with you guys today. This has been one of the most fabulous days I've had on the golf course. And I'm sitting in the background going, are you kidding me? I mean, is this a joke? And these guys ate it up. They loved it. So there's something about, at the end of a round, true or not true, thanking the people you're playing with, explaining to them that you had a great time. It's golf. It should be fun. And expressing that to them. It's amazing how far that'll go along down the road. So now we have the situation. You're done with the round. You played your 18 holes of golf. Now it's the 19-hole presentation. So we just said you say that. I like to, and I would suggest if you're going to play business golf, get golf balls that have your company name or your name on them and hand those to them as a gift at the end of the round. It's just a really professional way to tell them thank you for coming out and joining me for the day. So one of the toughest things is when you get back to the office the next day is follow-up. So there's no use in spending 4, 5, 6 hours with somebody on the golf course if you're not ready to call them back, develop that relationship further, give them the opportunity to hire you for business or give you a referral. So you've got to be able to follow up, and this is a tough part. I would suggest when you get back, write a handwritten thank you card. I know a lot of us use computers, but a handwritten thank you card coming a couple days later is a great reminder for that. I would say contacting them within 3 to 4 business days is a good SOP, standard operating procedures. And then, talk about what your agenda is and see if there's some opportunities there. But I always said in the past, you never have a right to talk about business or to ask for referrals until you have a relationship. So if you haven't established a close enough relationship through the golf round, you still don't have the right to ask for that referral. So a bonus is tracking your follow-up. So it shouldn't be that hard. None of us do it. I'm going to start doing it for sure. But it's very simple. Here's the people I took to play golf. Here's the revenue that came out of it over time, or referrals. And if you think about it, this could add up to a lot of people. If you play golf with 3 people once a week over a 50-week period, that's 150 people that you've developed really close-knit relationships with. And from that perspective, golf can be a huge moneymaker. So I will conclude my presentation here. I'll open it up to questions. I'll bring in questions.
Do you have a suggestion if we don't belong to, a country club? Like you said, there's some really nice golf courses that kind of have a nice feel for them.
Sure. So a great example for like Jeremy is Moore Park Country Club. So for $550 a year, you can buy a country club, a membership there. That means your round is free and your guest round is discounted. I'm not sure what it is. So there's a lot of courses like that that can offer you the opportunity, depending on where you live, Brookside and Pasadena. But there's always these high daily fee industry hills for those of you who do business with more manufacturing folks. Industry Hills Country Club, I think it's, again, it might be $1,000 a year. I don't even think it's that much. And you become a member. The other thing is it's great because they have men's club events. And you can go out and visit and play with those individuals as well if you like golf on the weekends. So thank you for that question.
The other question is, when you invite, is it always assumed that you're going to pay for all of the fees?
Well, it depends on the relationship. If it's a referral source, it's very similar to going lunch, right? You put both your cards out and you split. If it is a client, or if it's an influencer to a client, and you're asking them for something, I believe that you're responsible for paying for that round. So it can get expensive. Bruce, any questions?
I was just taking lots of notes.
Excellent.
I was taught that you might have three things you want to say to somebody in the course of 18 holes. And you'll say the first thing by the 6th hole, the second thing by the 10th hole, and the third thing by the 17th hole. And it's just one thing. And whether they bring it up or not, you figure out a way to somehow just plant the seed. And then for the 19th hole, you water the seed that you planted.
Nice.
And I always thought that was interesting because you mentioned don't talk until they ask you about your business. But I'm always thinking there are some clever ways of kind of getting that known and what you do. Because if you ask them what they do, typically they'll feel obligated at least to say, well, what do you do?
Well, and I'm thinking these are people that we know already. So, for instance, if I was going to take Jeremy out to play golf, I already know that kind of the agenda that I have. I want to get to know him better. I want him to trust me. I want a referral into his C-suite to do their deal. But I'm not going to necessarily say, hey, Jeremy, hey, come on, make the introduction, until I have the right to make that introduction. So to ask for that introduction.
Well, your idea about etiquette, your thoughts about etiquette are just so right on.
Yeah.
And it turned me off so much when somebody does not follow the rules and it just blatantly disregards some things, like, that's a gimme. That's the interesting thing about putting. If the guy says, hey, you can pick it up, then it's kind of rude not to pick it up. But
Right.
But do you ever want to get to where you're within the grip? Do you say, okay, you can pick that one up?
Of course.
How do you usually do it?
Yeah, usually if it's within, it's whatever your mandate is. I mean, I feel good play is quick play. It's not slow play. So if it helps to move things along and you give them a 3 or 4 foot putt, fantastic.
Well, I always tell people I don't play well, but I play fast. So
that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Well, if there's any other questions, feel free to speak up. Otherwise, thank you all for joining High Rise and being members and also guests. And this has been the Business Golf discussion, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys in the near future. Thank you very much.
Hopefully on the golf course.
Oh yeah, we'll see you on the golf course.
Bye.
Thank you.